Hello everybody, this is Gareth Cahoon Speaks back here with another video. I'd like you to hit the subscribe bar, give me a thumbs up if you like the video, or hit the notification bell to be notified when I post my next post. Or otherwise you can donate to my ministry and the charities that I support at garethcahoon3 at gmail.com on PayPal. Trump downplays Iranian fire at US ships. The United Arab Emirates as Project Freedom erodes the Hormuz blockade. Israel on high alert amid potential resumption of fighting. US President DJT downplayed the missile fire from Iran towards the United Arab Emirates on Monday, shying away from dubbing it a violation of the ceasefire as the American Project Freedom continues to erode the Iranian blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. CBS reported overnight that two US destroyers, USS Truxtun and USS Masson, broke through the blockade to enter the Persian Gulf under heavy fire from missiles, drones and small boats. Later, the US flagged vehicle carrier Alliance Fairfax successfully exited the Gulf under the protection of US ships, according to shipping company Maersk, when CENTCOM announced the two US flagged merchant vessels have successfully transited through the Strait of Hormuz. On Sunday, Trump announced that the US Navy would begin guiding merchant ships stuck in the Gulf through the straits, effectively breaking the Iran-imposed blockade. However, senior US officials told the Wall Street Journal that this would be accomplished by sharing the best routes to avoid sea mines led by the Iranian Navy rather than by military escorts. The regime responded on Monday by firing at US ships and a South Korean vessel, as well as launching waves of missiles and drones at the UAE. However, Trump told ABC that this wasn't heavy firing. Asked whether he thought the ceasefire had been violated, Trump replied, "Well, we'll let you know. Ships are moving, you know. We moved quite a few last night, big ones. There was no firing. I guess there has been some recently. I'm looking into it. Iran better hope the ceasefire remains in effect. The best thing that can happen to them is that we keep in effect." Trump added, noting that the Iranian missiles and drones launched at the UAE were shot down for the most part, though one got through, not huge damage. The Communist News Network, or CNN as it's otherwise known, reported Monday that an Israeli missile defense system deployed in the UAE, most likely an Iron Dome battery, had intercepted one of the projectiles. On Monday evening, an IDF official briefed news outlets that the IDF is monitoring the situation and remains on alert and in the state of readiness. Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu reportedly requested to postpone a planned hearing of the corruption trial set for Tuesday, as the Israeli military is monitoring the Iranian response and preparing for the potential resumption of full-scale fighting against the regime. An Israeli source explained to Ynet News that Trump's move created a game of chicken to determine who would back down first, Washington or Tehran. "The question is how the Iranians will respond," he said, just before the launches at the United Arab Emirates. "If they fold, it means they've lost control over Hormuz. If they choose to fight over the passage, it means an attack." However, the regime decided to attack the UAE, which has been hesitant to respond militarily against Iran, while suffering even more attacks than Israel during the war. If Trump moves ships and tankers supplying oil and goods over their heads, It means he effectively controls the strait and Iran has lost its last leverage point. In any case, it increases the likelihood of a return to fighting. There is a possibility that the Iranians will respond forcefully and escalate that could require the US and possibly Israel as well to resume military action, the source added. According to the Wall Street Journal, Trump is hesitant to return to bombing campaign, but is also deeply dissatisfied with the Iranian hesitancy to agree to any compromise on the nuclear issue. Project Freedom, which is aimed to erode the Iranian blockade, that has been the only effective tool to pressure the US, was seen as an option to ramp up the pressure on Tehran without resuming the war, officials told the Wall Street Journal. Other options that were considered included striking the remaining 25% of the targets on the Pentagon's target list or implementing full naval escorts of tankers through the strait like the US Navy did during the tanker war in 1987. Despite the first successes of Project Freedom, some US and foreign officials told the Wall Street Journal they believe Trump is likely to order new strikes in Iran within days. Iran's parliament speaker and member of its negotiation team, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, threatened on X that the regime would continue striking on ships trying to transit the strait. The new equation in the Strait of Hormuz is taking shape. The security of shipping and energy transit is at risk due to the violation of the ceasefire and the imposition of a blockade by America and its allies. We know very well that the continuation of the current situation is unbearable for America, while we have not even begun yet, he warned. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, meanwhile, wrote on social media that Project Freedom was a project dead end, warning the US and the UAE against malign actors who could drag them back into a quagmire of war. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, who has led mediation efforts, stated that Pakistan strongly condemns the missile and drone attacks on civilian infrastructure in the United Arab Emirates last night. It is absolutely essential that the ceasefire be upheld and respected to allow necessary diplomatic space for dialogue leading to enduring peace and stability in the region. Meanwhile, the US and Bahrain circulated a first draft of a joint resolution focused on ending Iran's blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, among members of the United Nations General Council overnight. So this is just another fresh idea of Trump's of how to open the Strait of Hormuz. Let's just pray that it's successful so that the petrol and diesel costs could go down. The airplanes can get their jet fuel and that normalcy and peace would come. But pray for the peace of the poor Iranian people who are the pawns in this game. They need all our support, comfort, and prayers as they're fearful of the IRGC leaders and the besieged forces coming against them. It was just the other day that they murdered a young protester by hanging him from a crane. This is the Iran that we're dealing with today. Genocidal, maniacal organization that only has death, blood, and lust on their minds. And they need to be stopped some way, somehow. And I think Donald Trump is the right man for the job. Shalom. Maranatha, and Hallelujah.